Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Couch Coaching. This is our first episode for the 2013 season for the Houston Texans. And we're going to talk about their preseason matchups, how they fared in the preseason, which, we know the preseason really doesn't count. We're just going to talk about their week 3 matchup, and also, how we think they're going to do in their first 4 games.
To also get it started, Jimmy, Vince, just for the people who hadn't seen the show before.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyway, the Texans ended up 3-1 in the preseason, and the third team that they played in during the preseason would be the New Orleans Saints, and they ended up losing the game. But I think that their offense played, fairly well in the first half of the game. They got a couple touchdowns. Arian Foster did not play the entire preseason. They kept him out, but Bente played well in his place.
So, he did. Bente, has always played well. I really do believe that eventually he'll be handcuffed to Arian Foster. I think he's a good downhill runner.
Right.
But yeah, in that New Orleans Saints game, the score was 31-23, and we all know that that's the only game that really the starters play majority of the time. But like Vince hit on, Arian Foster didn't play a lot. But even in that game, there were a couple of things out of that game that we both liked that came out of it.
Right.
Texans, of course, their run game was on top of it. It's not very often to where going into the preseason after having a mini camps and all that you've got all your plays set down, but they kind of left off right where they started off right where they left off last season. So all in all, the game was not too bad, even though they came out on the wrong end of it.
Yeah, again, because the final score is not really dictates the outcome. You just want to make sure that your players, when they're out there, your starters, when they're out there, are doing a good job. They lost a couple of players. Really significant. The only significant player that they lost, they let go of, finally. And all you Texans fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Kevin Walters. Kevin Walters was doing all these good things that that Kubiak said he was doing on film that we just didn't see. I didn't see these good things. For you to be number 2 wide receiver, you have to be doing more than just blocking. Now, apparently he was an excellent blocker, but he wasn't making enough catches.
And in that kind of scheme, though, you need that excellent blocker. Look at look at Hines Ward. That's what he did first.
But Hines Ward can catch too.
Look, if you don't block, you don't get the rock. All right, it's as simple as that. You don't block, you don't get the rock.
I like that.
So that was the deal. But I agree with you. I don't think Walters was actually a good fit.
Right.
The one guy that they did let go that I'm surprised you didn't mention first was Casey.
James Casey.
Yeah, James Casey. He went to Philadelphia.
Well, James Casey, look, I'm telling you, all you fans know how good James Casey was and how underutilized that he was as a Texan. I think James Casey will be utilized and used properly in Philadelphia, and on the side, I'll be watching him to see what he does in Philadelphia. But with him being a fullback, that's fine. He was a fullback. So if you would, the replacement that they have for James Casey is going to be Greg Jones. So that's fine, because Jones was the fullback for Maurice Jones-Drew in Jacksonville. So that's a good replacement. But DeAndre Hopkins, which is going to be a replacement for Kevin Walters, that's going to be the key, because you got to get some kind of productivity out of that second wide receiver spot. And
I think they will. I saw Hopkins, through the preseason, and I can pull up the stats real quick as well. But with his stats, I think he'll be a good little out deal when it comes to their receiving core. He had 74 yards. 12.3 yards per average
per catch, right? That's
and
good.
he had 30. His longest one was 34, and he did have 1 touchdown. He did have 6 catches to him stat-wise, and I believe this is for the whole preseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, I think he'll do pretty good because, I mean, even Andre, I mean, he had eight catches for 151 yards, 18.9, 39 was his longest, and he had zero touchdowns. I mean, when you look down through it, with the fact that they like to run more anyways,
right,
your wide receivers are not going to get the ball as many times. Cause I think their most one they had was 14. That was Griffin, 12 with Gene, 12 with Graham. All the rest of them were around the same, about 8, 6, 4, stuff like that. So, I mean, with them running the ball more, your wide receivers are going to be in there blocking. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and
with Andre going down,
right,
in his age and all that stuff, not that his productivity's gone down, just his age and everything else,
right.
That's about the time when they start, slowing down. You'll need that one guy who you can depend on. And I think if they feel that he's a good number 2 wide receiver, that if they need to call on him, he's good, then you have to go with that and, take it as it is. So, I mean, I think he'll do all right.
Yeah, they'll be fine in the passing game, and we all know that with the preseason it's vanilla. You just want to make sure that everybody's where they're supposed to be,
right?
With their route running, with their run blocking, pass blocking, all that kind of stuff. So, being we kind of touched on the preseason, we're going to talk about the Texans' first 4 matchups and how we think they'll fare through the first quarter of the season. And those of you who haven't been with us before, what we do is we try to break down the first quarter of the season. Well, we break the season down into quarters to see how we feel like the Texans will do, and then we're going to do the same thing for the next quarter of the season for the Texans as well.
Yeah, it's each 4 games.
Yeah, each 4 games. So that first matchup, in the 2013 season, they will be playing
the Chargers.
The San Diego Chargers. And look, the San Diego Chargers, they have a new head coach. The Texans will be in San Diego,
which is not going to be a determining factor.
No, it's not. It's not because I look.
The San Diego is too nice of a place no matter when you go. So I mean, that's not going to play in anything. It's not going to be like they're playing in 30 or 40 degree weather.
And it's a Monday night game, so usually the Texans play well on Monday night. Usually, except that when they're playing the Green Bay Packers.
They're gonna. I was going to say they're gonna bring their Letterman jackets.
But usually they fare well on primetime games. And again, San Diego, they're so beat up. They're so beat up on the offensive line. They have a quarterback that's just not mobile at all.
Right.
So I don't see this really being a problem for the Texans, and I think they'll win this game pretty easy.
I agree with you. I don't think San Diego poses any kind of a threat, offense or defensive wise. I mean, they've got some players there that are on defense that can step up if need be. But I think seeing what they had during the preseason and all that, I'm not confident enough in them to be able to take that game at home.
No.
So I think the Texans will end up winning that one. The second game they've got, which is the Tennessee Titans, is going to be a rival. It's going to be a division game. That's going to be here at Houston. With this one right here, I was kind of at first when I looked at it on the schedule, I was kind of up and down that Tennessee might have a shot at this one. I don't think Tennessee will have a shot on this one. Not this one, maybe later on in the season, but definitely not the second game. Their running game right now is still trying to kick off. Chris Johnson, in my opinion, is still trying to get his legs under him.
Right.
That offensive line is kind of suspect on their blocking scheme.
Right.
Their defense is starting to come along, but I still feel that being that it's going to be the first home game of the season for the Texans,
right?
I think they're just going to have too much going for them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Tennessee, just like you said, on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're going to be good. I think they'll be good. Where their problem will be is what kind of quarterback play can they get? Right. Because with the kid's name is escaping me right now. But their quarterback play has not been consistent, and then Kenny Britt, we don't know which Kenny Britt is going to show up. So we know Washington's going to play well. We know Washington's going to do what Washington has to do. But the problem is that their quarterback play is just too inconsistent. So I just feel like it's going to be a turnover deep on the Texan side of the ball, or it could be a pick six. Who knows? But it's going to be something like that that's going to determine the outcome of the game. Is going to turn it towards the Texans in their favor. So I don't think Tennessee has a real shot at winning this game. in the second week of the season.
Yeah, I think the quarterback you're talking about is Locker, isn't it?
Yeah, Jake Locker.
Yeah.
You know, his play is not consistent enough. He still has his eyes too focused on the line and not down the field.
Right, and I think that's going to be the key as well. I mean, I think like I said, they might have a shot later on in the season, which I think they play again. I know I'm jumping ahead of everything, but it's the last game of the season, which again, I don't think Tennessee is going to be going to any kind of a playoff game. So
right.
Maybe that kind of deal, well, if I'm not going to go, let me at least get a record on you real quick. So I don't think they'll do anything right now.
Right. I just, like I said, I mean, with Kenny Britt's inconsistency, with the inconsistency at the quarterback play, and plus they lost his big target tight end to St. Louis over the offseason. I mean, I just don't think that they really have a chance to win the game. Now, look, you play the game to play the game. You play the game for the outcome. On paper, the Texans look like they should win this game, and I think they will. That doesn't mean that Tennessee can't win the game. I just don't think that they will.
Right, I agree.
So I think we're both in agreement with the first two games of the first quarter that the Texans should be 2-0. And then comes Baltimore. And they'll be playing Baltimore at Baltimore. And look, these are the defending Super Bowl champions, but it's a whole lot different. They lost a lot of players to free agency. And
the notable one, Ed Reed.
Will Ed Reed even be playing in this game?
Well, they took him off the PUP list. They did take him off the PUP list,
yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything because the deal is that if he's on the PUP list as week 1 goes, that he has to miss 6 weeks automatically,
right.
Regardless if he's healthy week 2.
Right.
So they went ahead and activated him. Now we don't know if he'll be ready for that game or not.
Right.
But me personally, everybody who watches us knows that I'm a Steelers fan, so the Ravens just leave a bad taste in my mouth, to be honest with you. But I'm not picking this team or going against this team or anything like that because of my biased issues. I'm looking at just strictly what's on here.
Right.
And with just too much on the defensive side that's gone, you've got Ed Reed gone, you've got Ray Lewis gone, you've got some key components that set that defense during the Super Bowl run and all that. And I think with them gone, and especially with their record, last season with going in there, I mean, even when they did have those guys, the Texans ran over them.
Exactly.
I mean, they had Ed Reed then, and they had Ray Lewis. Well, no, I don't think they did have Ray Lewis last season whenever they played.
I think Ray played. I think Ray played in that game. No, I take that back.
I think
Suggs had come back that game.
Right. I don't think
Ray Lewis wasn't playing.
Right. So, I just the inconsistency on the defensive side, and especially since the Texans like to run, I don't see the Baltimore Ravens actually winning that game.
Exactly. I have to agree with you on that. The thing about it is, and it's not so much the defensive side for me because they'll be getting Webb back. The kid that they have replacing Ray, he's played fairly well. My problem is that the Anquan Bolden loss is even larger now that Dennis Pitt is not playing.
Right.
So they don't have those the weapons on the outside to really pressure the Texans to get out of what they like to do, because the Texans like to play man. So the only person they really got to worry about is Smith. If you can lock down Smith, you've locked down the Baltimore Ravens passing attack.
If Ed Reed's there, Ed Reed will of course stay over Smith.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the deal. And then again, all you got really is Ray Rice, and I mean we don't know how Ray Rice is going to do.
Right.
Considering last season going into the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, he really wasn't utilized in my opinion enough.
Exactly.
They've given Flacco the reins of that offense.
Right.
So I mean it's kind of. That's the way I feel about it. But I really feel like the defensive side is what's going to let this team down.
Yeah, so I think we both agree that the Texans, could quite possibly be 3-0 this first quarter of the season, and then their next matchup will be against the
Seattle
Seahawks. Now this is where it gets interesting.
I'm going to go ahead and go first. I don't think they'll win this game. I don't. The Seattle Seahawks have come a long way since 2005 and 2006, or it was the 2006 season, I believe. 2005 season that they went to the Super Bowl when they played the Steelers.
Right.
That defense now has gotten tougher.
Oh yeah.
It's gotten meaner, bigger. I mean,
stronger, faster, all that.
Their offensive side of the ball with Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson and company. I really don't feel that Texans will come out on top of that game.
Right.
I just don't. I think that they'll find a team that likes to run the ball with Marshawn Lynch.
Yep.
And he's a beast. And I mean, he's, in my opinion, he's not like Aaron. I mean, he's not like Foster. He's not that one cut back. He'll run through you.
Yeah, he's a 1 pound back.
Right. I mean, he
want to pound.
He doesn't want to run away from you. He wants to lower his shoulders and he wants to run through you.
Right.
So I mean, with that, and then you also have the threat with Russell Wilson either throwing the ball or running the ball out of the pistol set. And that defense, the way that it is, I really think that this matchup early in the season is going to be one of their toughest ones going forward.
Right.
I really honestly think that that's going to be the one that's going to give them their first loss of the season.
Well, it's going to be hard for me to say this, but I think what's going to happen is that the Texans are going to get out physical in that game.
Yeah.
Because Seattle, and what may happen now, because again, with the way that they like to do that option read there, and I'm kind of still on the fence because I think the Texans can win this game because Percy Harvin won't be playing. Now, having said that, Percy Harvin wasn't there last year when they had all the success either.
Right.
So their season's not based on Percy.
When I look at what this team does on their offense,
yeah,
I'm just like you. Percy Harvin is not their offense.
Right.
Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch is their offense. I mean, because if you have to honestly respect Marshawn Lynch running, Russell Wilson running,
right,
and then Russell Wilson throwing, that's 3 things that you've got to look out for, and all 3 of them are coming from 2 people.
Exactly.
So it's not like, well, we'll blitz. You blitz, we'll throw right over the top of you.
Right
Russell Wilson is a good thrower as well. I mean, he did
throw right to Sidney Rice or Golden Tate. Right.
I mean, he's not just this. Well, I'm gonna run first, and if I get spooked, I'm gonna throw. No, he'll run. He ain't got no problem with that. So if you sit back in coverage too long, he'll take off. He did it last season.
Right.
So I mean, I really think this was gonna be their first loss.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. Wow, this is a rarity here, Jimmy. I think
we're 4-0 on agreement.
Yeah, we're agreeing completely down the board, and I think that the Seahawks just have too much defensively, because they can get after the passer, and we know Matt Schaub is gonna be exactly where he's supposed to be,
right,
as far as the passing, because he's not gonna scramble.
Right, and that's the thing too. And I mean, I think with that being said, that with the Seahawks knowing that they're dominant on the defensive side, and I'm not saying the Texans aren't. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Texans are very dominant on the defensive side as well. But I just think with the fact of that with Matt Schaub not being able to run, all you've got is your play action. And if you like to run the ball first down, run the ball second down, and run the ball on third down,
right, that's
just going to be too much running. And I really honestly think that they're just going to get out-handled on the offensive line because that Seahawks defense is just ruthless. I mean, we saw it in the Atlanta game last season during the playoffs. I mean, they were getting beat. And they ended up coming back.
Right.
I mean,
I think Atlanta played a big part in that too. They're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. But.
Right, but I mean, even if you're playing not to lose, I mean, the way they got manhandled by their defense was like their defense just woke up.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, I honestly think by the end of the season, by the first 4 games, when I say end of the season, the first 4 games, it's going to be 3-1.
Yeah, I believe the same thing too. So we both agree that the Texans will be 3-1 after the first quarter of the season. And, we'll see what happens after that. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by, checking us out. If you have any comments, please leave them at the bottom of the page or give us a call.
Give us a call.
Give us a call.
Send us a message at Facebook, Couch Coaching 12. Leave your response on the video. If you have any questions or if you want us to analyze another team,
right,
we'll be happy to do it as well.
Any football team, any national football team, we'll be more than happy to do it. Just leave it in the comments page, and we'll do it. We'll do it on the next quarter.
All right.
Thanks again for watching, and stay safe.